Hey everybody, KC here. So there was a story in the Wall Street Journal the other day that I thought was kind of interesting. It talked about the idea that feedback in the work environment, feedback is out, feed forward is in. Now that's not just semantics, according to the journal. Basically, the story says feedback too often leaves workers feeling defeated, weighed down by past actions instead of considering the next steps ahead. But feed forward encourages improvement and development, as proponents say. Now, the shift comes, the journal reports, as younger generations who can prefer a more positive, nurturing environment are accounting for a larger share of the workforce. And companies increasingly focus on performance and efficiency following a pause on reviews during the pandemic. And listen, I think this is a really good thing, right? I've always believed that companies need to create a culture of caring within their organizations. Simply put, feedback creates anxiety about the past, which is to be avoided at all costs, especially with younger people. It's not just feedback, though. It's interesting. The journal also reports that companies are also banishing another negatively charged term, review, which they're replacing with connect sessions, which include coaching, self-reflection, and opportunity discussions. Now, look, I get all this, and I generally take the position that one of the things that leaders need to do is figure out the best ways to lead the people who work for them. Command and control management simply doesn't work anymore. And in fact, I think actually the best leaders always have been those who understand that the best way to give feedback is not to create anxiety, but to offer constructive criticism that allows people to do better going forward. You create expectations. You then tell people whether or not they met the expectations, which empowers them to do the right thing, to be more productive going forward. Now, some of this, I have to say, I think is a lot of consultant speak and HR speak. But I also think that whether you call it feedback or feed forward, interactions between leaders and the people who work for them actually have to sort of be a constant loop, right? It's a kind of a loop that's constantly moving. It's constantly taking place. There's feedback, there's feed forward, there's feedback, there's feed forward. Feedback is feed forward if it's done right. Feed forward is feedback if you do it right. The best leaders understand that the best way to improve productivity is to get employees to feel a sense of ownership over the company. They want to create that constant loop, and they appreciate, this is really, really important, I think, for leaders. They understand that one of the most important parts of whether you call it feedback or feed forward is not talking, but listening. And listen, there's no question that there's a lot of generational issues here as well. That creates new demands on leaders who can't do the things the way they used to be done. No matter how much they yearn for those halcyon days of yore. But that's why they're called leaders, right? That's why they get paid the big bucks. And the ones who can't fulfill that mandate, the ones who can't do these kinds of things, well, at best, they're just managers. And I'm not sure just managing is nearly enough in the vast majority of organizations these days. Now, listen, some of this isn't new. Trust me, I worked for a lot of managers in the days before I created Morning Newsbeat. I worked for almost no leaders. Now, for any of you who I used to work for and you're still alive and you may happen to be watching this today, consider that my feedback. That's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.